Yeah, like I think it's okay if you're off, like you can figure it out. Yeah, I know, but I mean, as opposed to just giving the words and starting the song. Right, yeah. Not then start with the words. Yes, I think we can. Okay. Okay, give me a few things to get into the, make sure I have the right group.
Good morning. Thank you. I think it's time for our announcements.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Suzanne. I have your announcements. Spirit Choir continues to meet Monday evenings from 7 to 9. If you're interested in singing with the choir, come talk to me. Also, Wednesday mornings, there's Pilates class every Wednesday at 11 a.m. You can talk to me for more info about that as well. And Reverend Pat Trudeau is in our minister's office every Friday having tea and conversation at 4 p.m. If you're interested, you can drop by for tea with the minister. Have an update from the fundraising committee from last night's silent auction.
Good morning and congratulations to all our happy winners at home and here. Well, we did well. We raised $8,692. I want to say thanks to the fundraising team and thanks to everybody who bid.
Thank you, Luann.
Thanks, Luann. Today at 1 p.m., the CUC is hosting a national worship service on Zoom or their YouTube channel. The topic is Living into Covenant. You can find login information on the CUC's website. And it says Michelle and Gordon are sticking around after service to watch from the minister's office. So you can join them in the minister's office if you want to watch together. Living into Covenant. Neighborhood Gallery presents a new show starting next Sunday, November 27th, Lauren Renzetti's Meadow Meditations. I think she's putting it up today after service, and then it'll be ready to view during the week and starting next Sunday. Is it also Ravinder's art as well? Sorry, Ravinder Ruprai's Angry Red Lines will also be on display as of next Sunday. Our Whole Lives OWL, Unitarian Universalist Lifespan Sexuality Education. Are you interested in becoming a facilitator? Do you want to be able to provide lifespan education based on principles of self-worth, sexual health, justice, and inclusivity? Please speak with Zariah to learn more about how to become a facilitator. And next Sunday, our theme is Many Views, One Community. Speaker will be many of us, as an open discussion will be facilitated by Peter Marmerick. Music will be provided by our Spirit Choir, and our weaver will be Gordon Thorne.
You're picking up your bids after service. See us over in this corner. John and Veronica will be taking payments and I'll be handing out your items.
Thank you. We welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service on Zoom. Thank you for joining us. My name is Allison Kabayama, and I will be your service weaver this morning. Now, we have nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. So let us bring our hearts, minds, and spirits together as one as we give greeting and gratitude for being with one another. This is our threshold moment. Let's enter sacred space together. Our service begins now. I've asked Kim Knutson to light our chalice this morning. This chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts. Our prelude today will be led by our guest musicians, Jane Lewis and Eve Goldberg.
We would like to start with a song that has a part for you. So this is called Right Here. And the words that you need to know are, all we need is right here. And it sounds like this. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. All we need
we need, all we need, all we need is right. The night was dark, but the day is bright. Together we can lift our eyes to all we love, we hold dear. 'Cause all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need, all we need, all we need is right here.
I start by acknowledging that the Wendat, Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit of First Nations have lived here before me and are living here now, together with Métis and Inuit. I mention again the Mississaugas of the New Credit specifically as the treaty that covers the parcel of land we are standing on was ceded from these peoples. Like many treaties, our governments have not upheld Canada's promises and obligations. I offer my sincere gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. I will work to honor those teachings and be reminded that we are all accountable to these relationships and to the spirit of these agreements. Good morning and welcome. Our musical director is Suzanne Nazars, and Zariah Getchell facilitates our child and caregiver program. Our guest musicians and leaders this morning are Jane Lewis and Eve Goldberg of the musical duo Gathering Sparks, and I'll tell you a bit more about them later in the service. At Neighborhood, we are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. We welcome all people to our religious community. If you are visiting us for the first time in person, we welcome you and encourage you to stay after service for coffee time. Our services can vary from week to week, so we encourage you to sample several to get a better feel for who we are. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Our theme for November is remembrance, memory, experience, deepening meaning. Our theme for today is the spirit of improv. As I reflected and prepared for today's service, I thought about my own uneven experiences at improvisation when creating dance, music, or dialogue. There is a real tension between being spontaneous and sensing limitation or what may be off or feel off limits. This is much the same as life in general, and making decisions or resisting decisions that seem to generate instability or the risk of chaos. I have found that the tendency towards being a perfectionist stifles creativity and exploration, and I have spent a lifetime aware of this side of myself. I know the origins of this characteristic and attribute it to specific features of my upbringing. It has taken me many decades to unlearn or to learn how to be more comfortable with making mistakes and failing, especially in public. I think a major deficit was the fact that there was virtually no fun or play in my early childhood. Everything seemed to have a purpose and reason and was expected, or so I thought, to be done properly or correctly the first time. It took me until raising my own children and wanting to play with them to finally begin to learn how to play. There is something to be said for an approach to work that is immediate and spontaneous, such that we have the feel of playing as we create. So I invite you to let go of the rational, judgmental, or critical side of ourselves and feel free to go with the flow this morning. There's plenty of time to put that thinking cap back on, but for now, let's just be and have some fun together. Let's not overthink and instead give rein to our playful spirits without reservation. Let's give ourselves the gift of enjoying spontaneous, improvised music and participatory singing, all in this safe container of the community circle. And may it extend to our approach to life in general. In the words of Samuel Butler, the English novelist and critic, life is like music. It must be composed by ear, feeling, and instinct, not by rule. Now it's time to greet your neighbors. After you've greeted a few neighbors near you, perhaps turn to the camera on the back wall and offer a greeting to those joining us virtually. Suzanne will sound a chime at the end. Now please take a moment and greet the neighbors around you.
Let's see.
Hello.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Reese. Julia.
Hi, Dolly. Hi, Julie. Hi, Ren. Hi, Reese.
You'll recognize some of those words. Yeah. Now, I invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will appear on the screen. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. Space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Now, as we hold ourselves open to grace and insight, we'll continue our service with our first song in Time for All Ages.
Morning, everybody. I'm going to invite the young and young at heart to come up and join me at the front because, as Allison said, our opening song today is also our time for all ages. So I'm just going to start by offering a special welcome to Jane and Eve, who are here today, and they are going to be teaching us our time for all ages and opening song. So I will pass it to you two. Thank you very much. Yes, please do.
We're going to recruit Suzanne up here too. And, okay, we're going to do a 3-part song, if you're willing, written by Elizabeth Melvin from Maryland. And I believe there might be some words coming up. I'm not sure, but it's a 3-part song. So I'll teach you each of the 3 parts and then we'll put them together. So the first part sounds like this. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning. That just keeps going over and over again. So the thing I have to tell you about this part is if you get assigned that part, there's not that many spaces to breathe. So you'll be in a group singing it. So just whenever you need to breathe, just skip a word. So you could be sunlight, soul light, spirit light, sunlight, sunlight, spirit light. You just pick which word you're going to skip. Just make sure you're breathing. That's the most important thing. The second part sounds like this. So keep the flame alive. 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 So that's the second part. Third part. What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? So that's the third part. And I think we will divide up into sunlight, soul light on this side. The middle, you're going to be keep the flame alive. And then over here will be what makes you burn inside. In the spirit of being in the moment, if the part that you're assigned isn't what you want to sing, then just sing one of the other parts. But that's the general thing. And if you're on Zoom, choose whichever part feels good to you today. And keep your eyes up here and let's start from the top. So we're going to start over here with sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning.
Sunlight, soul light, spirit light, burning. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light.
Keep it going.
Burning.
Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Keep it going. Keep the flame. What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? What makes you burn inside? Keep the flame. What makes you come alive? What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? Keep going. What makes you burn?
Burning. Sunlight,
Let's go quiet.
soul light,
Spirit light burning. Sunlight, soul light, spirit light. Keep the flame alive. Nice and quiet.
burning.
Flame.
Soul,
You burn inside. What makes you come alive? What makes you burn inside? What makes you come alive? Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Keep the sunlight, soul light, spirit light burning. The sunlight, soul light, spirit light burning. The sunlight, soul alive. Keep the flame. What makes you come alive? Once more. What makes you alive? The flame. What makes you come alive? Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. One more time. Keep the sunlight, soul light, spirit light burning. The sunlight, soul light, spirit light burning. Keep the flame alive. We can all join in. Keep the flame alive. Twice more. Keep the flame alive. Oh, keep going. Keep the flame. We got harmony happening. Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive. Last time. Keep the flame alive. Keep the flame alive.
Boom. Oh, guess we don't have kids to sing. But there. Please find a comfortable way to sit in your chair with your feet on the ground so that you can feel settled. Today we will be doing this a little bit differently, as Jane will be leading us in toning and then some call and response vocables. Please feel free to relax, engage, and let go.
All right, so whether you're with us here in person or on Zoom, you can take some nice deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor, or imagine your feet on the floor if they're not there. Feeling that connection, you can wiggle your toes a little bit and feel a connection between the soles of your feet and the earth. And just imagine that you're dipping your toes into this big ocean of sound. And each time you take a nice deep breath in, you're breathing it up through your body, through your feet, through all your cells. Take a few breaths in there, just imagining that. Imagining that we have this big ocean of sound and music underneath our feet, but also all around us. And we can tap into that anytime, so we don't need to create music. Think about it being already there. You can breathe it in and then breathe it out. So let's try imagining that big pool of music. Take a nice breath in and then hum out. Anything, doesn't matter. Until you run out of breath. Take another breath in and hum it back out. We'll keep doing that for a little while, breathing in and humming out. Keeping that nice relaxed feeling in your shoulders, let any tension go. This is a time for you to explore your own hum. So it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. See if you notice the more you relax your lips and your jaw, you get a little more vibration happening. See if you can feel that vibration in your chest. Just let the sound reverberate through your body. And you can stay with that humming practice, humming to yourself. But if you want to open up a little bit from the hum into an ooh, ooh, whatever comes out each time you have breath. Maybe open up into an ah, I feel like. We can all access this beautiful music anytime we want to. Oh, let's come back to the hum. Let's do one more. We're going to take this into a call and response exercise. So I'll sing a little phrase and you sing it back. Oh, oh, way, yo. Na da 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 da. La 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 la. Oh, hey, hey, yo. Oh, hey, yo. Oh, hey, yo. Oh, hey. Oh, oh, la, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Oh.
As promised, I have more to tell you about our guests this morning. Passionate about building community, Eve Goldberg has long dedicated herself to creating spaces for adults to learn music in a supportive environment. She has led workshops and classes at festivals and music camps across Canada and the US, and especially loves teaching beginners. Since the beginning of the pandemic, she has been teaching online ukulele and guitar classes for students all over North America, fostering connection at a time when we couldn't gather to make music together. She's one of the founders of the Common Thread Community Chorus and helped run the Woods Music and Dance Camp for over 20 years. In 2021, she was recognized with the Estelle Klein Award for her contributions to folk music in Ontario. Jane Lewis has followed her love of words from the printing press to the spotlight with her soul-bending lyrics, transcendent compositions, and crystal clear vocals. Her thoughtful piano and accordion playing, mastery of harmony, and upbeat presence add a sparkle to any stage. So Gathering Sparks is the graceful collision of Eve Goldberg and Jane Lewis. Musical friends who bonded over finely tuned harmonies and the craft of songwriting. Their inclusive approach embraces folk, pop, blues, and gospel influences tastefully, played on acoustic guitar, piano, accordion, and ukulele. As solo performance, they have each carved out their own niche in the folk roots scene, but when they come together as Gathering Sparks, there is a certain magic that cannot be denied. When not performing, they are both very involved in community music making, teaching, and facilitating musical groups of all kinds. So again, I welcome Eve and Jane to continue leading us this morning in our improvisational music making.
All right. Well, Suzanne invited us to come and do the music for the service today. And in our initial discussions about improvised music, she asked the question, why improvise? And I've been doing it for probably 5 or 6 years now, but I didn't have a ready answer to that question, why improvise? And to be honest, when I was first introduced to singing improvisation, I was completely terrified. I had joined a new choir, and our very first meeting, the choir director said, okay, we're going to start with some singing. We're going to improvise together. And I had this feeling of panic, like this isn't what I signed up for. But I was too embarrassed to get up and leave, so I had to stay and try it out. And at that time, I was a singer who I like to know my part. Give me a song to learn and I will learn it. Tell me what notes to sing and I will sing them. I will practice until I get them right. Like Allison, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to get it right, especially the first time. If you're improvising and making things up in the moment, how do you know what's right? How do you know what are the right notes to sing? And more concerning to me that very first time, what are the wrong notes and how do I avoid them? So I did try improvising that day, and I found it completely terrifying and completely compelling at the same time. But I really had to think about why that was. Why is it compelling? In improvisation, there's nothing predetermined. There's no right answer, but there's no wrong answer either. There's only what is. So I had to learn how to tune inward and listen very deeply. I had to let go of judgment and fear and embrace the unknown. And that's an ongoing process. I had to learn how to trust in music and trust in myself. So improvisation, there's no notes on the page to follow, so you have to learn how to lead. It's all an amazing process of being in the moment. And when we're truly in the moment, we're in a state of flow and connected to creativity. We're connected to all that is. And to me, that's a connection with spirit and the divine. The great musician Bobby McFerrin has a quote. He says, "One of the simplest and most direct ways of praying and meditating is through singing." And a lot of people know him for his song, "Don't Worry, Be Happy," but fewer people know that he is a master improviser. He will get up and improvise an entire concert with a stadium of people. So I think he would agree with a little addition to that quote. One of the simplest and most direct ways of praying and meditating is through improvisational singing.
Yeah, as Jane mentioned, Bobby McFerrin's a very well-known performer, but one of the other things he has done is developed this practice of circle singing in groups, and he's built up an international community of people who are doing it. So going back to his quote, singing or praying or meditating is something you can do alone and get a lot out of doing alone. But there's something very powerful that happens when we do it with others, when we do it in community. And maybe that's why churches and temples and singing groups exist. When we sing or pray or meditate in community, not only are we listening and deepening our connection to ourselves, but we're building connections with each other. Listening to what someone else is expressing, even if it's something that feels weird or scary or uncomfortable, really hearing it and then responding in an authentic way that adds to the conversation. That's the kind of dialogue that we need so much right now in this divided, fractured world that we're living in. It's part of the work of repairing the world, or tikkun olam, as it's called in the Jewish tradition. So if we're open to where it might take us, improvising is something that has so much to teach us about our connections to ourselves, our connections to others, and our connections to the divine.
So we thought that we would give a little bit of an idea of what it feels like to improvise, and because it might not be familiar or a little bit. We could start with not singing improvisation. So we're going to use some body percussion if you're willing. So body percussion, if you haven't done it before, is just making sounds with your body. So just like a chest thump or a finger snap or clapping. And I'm going to suggest for clapping that we try a soft clap. So if you just put the tips of your hand on the bottom of your other hand, then it's not quite so loud for a large group of people. So things like that. There are more sounds, and if they come out in this exercise, then that's totally fine. But let's try something all together, just this little pattern of, so it's a chest thump clap. Thump, clap. Chest thump clap. Yeah. We're going to add one more piece. Yeah? That's all you have to do. Well, no, I'm going to add more. So watching me, we're going to pause for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and go again. Twice through. Then we pause for 1, 2, 5. And again. So in this pause, we can improvise with body percussion. I'll demonstrate first. It's the refrain, twice through. And then, whatever you want. And the refrain, twice. Now, everybody try anything. Here we go. Yeah. And again. And here we go. Yeah. Let's try just snapping. Here we go. Just clapping this time. Yeah. Just anything. Here we go. Just these guys over here. Just the middle section. Yeah. Just the left-hand section. Here we go. Just the people on Zoom. Here we go. And let's pause. One. So we could also sing in the middle like this. I'll demonstrate the first time. Anybody who wants to, we'll do it all together. Here we go. Here we go. Win the refrain. Yeah. Try it again. Yeah. Anything goes. It doesn't matter. One more time. And you know what's coming next, right? Just this section. Okay. Now let's just keep that going. So this section over here with Eve is going to start singing a little thing. You can let go.
Doom ba doo doo. Doom ba doom. Doom ba doo doo. Doom ba doom. Doom ba doo doo. Doom ba doom. Doom ba doo doo. Doom ba doom.
This middle
Doom
section with
ba
Suzanne is going to start singing something else. So you guys keep going.
Doom ba doo doo. Doom ba doom. Doom ba doom ba doom. Doom ba doom ba doom. Doom ba doom ba doom ba doom ba doom ba doom.
Keep going.
Doom ba doom. 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 Doom ba doom.
Just voices.
Doom ba doom. Doom ba doom. Doom ba doom. doom ba doom, 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 doom ba doom.
Once more.
Doom ba doom,
You guys keep going.
doom ba doom.
Can you do that?
Doom ba da doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom,
Last time.
doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom,
You guys.
doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom, doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom,
Twice more.
doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom,
Last time.
doom ba da doo doom, doom ba da doom.
Yeah. Thank you for playing.
Doom ba da doom boom. Doom ba da doom. Thank you. So now is our time for our offertory. Sharing of ourselves is the part of every faith. Volunteer efforts are essential, but salaries are paid and programs created by your contributions. The greeters will pass the baskets, and those who choose to make contributions while Eve and Jane introduce the parts to our closing song. This congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. And if you contribute by pre-authorized withdrawals, we thank you. As we contribute to this community, we affirm our lives within it. And the greeters can bring the baskets to the front when their collection is done. And we'll now pause and invite you back.
All right, I'm gonna start with that. This is another 3-part song. And so we'll teach the 3 parts as the basket's going around, and then we'll try it all together. So the main first part, just using the words in this moment, and it sounds like this. In this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment,
In this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment.
That's the
In
first
this
part. There's going to be a low harmony to that. In this moment, in this moment,
In this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment.
That's it. The third part is going to be using the words be here now. 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 So that's all. There can be maybe some room for improvisation over top of that, but we'll get there. Once the basket's done, we'll put it all together. And I think I'm going to recruit Suzanne and Allison both to hold down some of these parts. And yeah.
So we always say this when we are acknowledging our offertory. Thank you. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good.
All right. So I think for the closing song, instead of assigning you parts, we'll just all start singing the first one, and then you can just switch to whichever part you feel like singing. How about that?
Maybe we can invite everyone to rise in energy.
Yes.
We've been sitting. If you feel comfortable, stretch out your legs, move your bodies a little, however that looks for you.
Yeah. If you're moved to dance during this, that's totally fine. So we'll all start with in this moment,
In this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this
we'll add
moment,
the low part.
in this moment, 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 oh, in this moment, in this moment, oh, in this moment, 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 in this moment.
Anybody else wants to improvise?
In this moment, in this moment,
Just go for it.
in this moment, oh,
In this moment,
this is the moment. In this moment, we are here now. In this moment, 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 oh, this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, moment here, be here now.
It's that time. We invite you to sing with Suzanne as we extinguish our chalice. Thank you, Kim. Please, as you're comfortable, to take your neighbor's hand or touch their shoulder or touch elbows, connecting physically as we have musically and spiritually. And today, I leave you with this blessing. May the spirit of improv linger and infiltrate your days and weeks to come. And may this spontaneity sprinkle throughout your life and sparkle in the communities we are blessed to share. This service has ended. Go in peace.
You just say all this. Yeah.